Have you ever seen a bride smile so bright on her wedding day, but deep inside, something feels very wrong? That was exactly how Mia felt. Everyone around her was laughing, dancing, and throwing petals in the air. But her heart was whispering, something isn't right. Mia had been waiting for this day all her life, her wedding day. She was supposed to marry Daniel, the man she loved, the man who made her laugh till her stomach hurt, the one who brought her breakfast every Sunday morning just because she said it made her feel special. But as she walked down the aisle that morning, the man standing at the altar didn't feel like Daniel. He looked like him, yes. Same dark suit, same charming smile. But there was something in his eyes, something cold. His eyes didn't sparkle like Daniel's did when he looked at her. They felt heavy, dark, and distant, like they were hiding something. The music played softly. Everyone stood up. Cameras flashed. Her father whispered proudly, "You're marrying a good man today, Mia." And Mia tried to smile, but her lips trembled. Her fingers felt cold, and her heart pounded so hard she thought everyone could hear it. As she reached the altar, the man, Daniel, took her hand. His grip was tight. Too tight. She winced a little, but he didn't loosen it. He just smiled that same strange smile. "Are you okay?" she whispered. He nodded, but his eyes didn't meet hers. Something inside her screamed, "This isn't Daniel, but how could that be?" He looked like Daniel. He sounded like Daniel. Maybe she was just nervous. Maybe this was what wedding jitters felt like. The priest began to speak, his voice echoing softly through the hall. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." Mia tried to focus, but her thoughts were spinning. She looked around, hoping to see Daniel's best friend, Chris. Maybe he would notice something too. But Chris wasn't there. Neither was Daniel's mother, or his younger sister, Joy. Strange. Daniel would never have a wedding without them. When the priest said, "You may now kiss the bride," Mia's stomach flipped. The kiss felt wrong. It was cold, lifeless. She could feel no warmth, no love, just emptiness. But everyone clapped, shouted, and cheered. "Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Gray," the priest announced. Mia forced a smile, feeling like she had just stepped into someone else's life. That night, they went home to their new house. A beautiful white house with flowers by the porch. The one Daniel said he'd surprise her with after the wedding. But she never saw it until that night. Inside, everything was in perfect order. But there were no pictures. No sign of Daniel's family. Not even one photo of them together. When she asked about it, her new husband turned sharply and said, "You ask too many questions." His voice was cold, almost angry. She froze. I was just wondering where our pictures are." He glared at her for a long moment before walking away. That night, Mia couldn't sleep. Something wasn't right. She picked up her phone to call her mom, but there was no signal. She tried to go outside to check, but the front door was locked from the outside. The next morning, she found her phone missing. When she asked him about it, he said, "You won't be needing it anymore. We're married now. No more distractions." Her stomach sank. Her hands trembled. Who was this man? Why was he acting like this? Days passed and things got worse. He controlled everything. What she ate, what she wore, when she slept. He would smile when people visited, but as soon as they left, he changed. His words turned sharp, and sometimes his hand did too. Mia was trapped. One afternoon, while cleaning, she found something that made her heart stop. In the wardrobe, hidden inside a small box, was a phone. Daniel's old phone. Her hands shook as she turned it on. Miraculously, it still worked. When she opened the messages, her eyes filled with tears. There were texts from her, from weeks before the wedding. "I can't wait to marry you, Daniel." "I miss you, come home soon." And the last one, sent just a day before the wedding. "Daniel, please answer me." "I'm worried." That message had never been opened. Then she saw the last message he sent, to someone named Carl. It said, "It's done. No one will ever know." Mia dropped the phone. Her body went cold. What did that mean? It's done? No one will ever know what. Her heart started racing. She remembered the strange look in his eyes, the missing family members, the locked door. Could it be Daniel? Her real Daniel was gone. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she realized she might have married a stranger, or worse, a killer. That night she tried to ask him where Daniel's family was. He didn't like that. He grabbed her by the arm and whispered, "Don't ever say that name again." Then he threw her phone across the room and said, "You're my wife now." Forget the past. Mia couldn't breathe. The man she thought she loved was gone, and she didn't even know when it happened. Days turned into weeks. Her face lost its glow. Her laughter disappeared. She was living with a ghost wearing her lover's face. One morning, she overheard him talking on the phone. He was in the study, and his voice was low but angry. "You said it would be clean," he hissed. "You said no one would find the body." Mia froze behind the door. Every word cut through her heart like a knife. Her knees felt weak. Her hands covered her mouth so she wouldn't scream. It was true. He had killed Daniel. He had taken his name, his life, his face, and married her. That night Mia didn't sleep. She cried silently, her tears soaking the pillow. She knew she couldn't stay any longer. She had to escape, but how? He watched her every move. She prayed for strength. She prayed for courage. And somewhere deep inside, she promised herself, "I will survive this. I will not let him destroy me too." But the road ahead was long, dark, and full of danger, because the man she married wasn't just cruel. He was a monster, one who would rather see her dead than free. Mia woke up before sunrise, her heart pounding like a drum. She sat on the edge of the bed, watching the man beside her, the man who wasn't her real husband, sleeping peacefully. The monster. For weeks she had been planning. Every time he left the house, she memorized the locks, the windows, and the times he usually came back. She was careful not to make a sound, not to draw attention, because one mistake could mean the end for her. She found an old handbag in the closet, one that used to be hers before the wedding. Inside, she hid a small amount of money she'd managed to find in his jacket pocket. She didn't know where she would go, but she knew she had to run. That morning, he woke up grumpy. He didn't say good morning. He never did anymore. Instead, he barked, "Make breakfast. Don't talk to anyone today. I'll be watching." His voice was deep, full of control and threat. Mia nodded quickly, pretending to be obedient. But deep inside, her heart whispered a prayer. "God, please help me." Later that day, while he was outside making a phone call, Mia saw her chance. The door was slightly open. He had left his car keys on the table. Her heart began to race. She could hear him pacing outside, still talking. This was it, her only chance. Quietly, she picked up the keys, slipped into the car, and started it. The engine came to life with a soft roar. The man turned immediately, shouting her name, but it was too late. Mia pressed the pedal with all her strength and sped off. Tears blurred her eyes as she drove down the road. Her hands shook. Her whole body trembled. She didn't even know where she was going. She just kept driving, away from the house, away from the fear, away from the lies. Behind her he was shouting, his voice fading as the distance grew. For the first time in months, Mia felt air filling her lungs. Freedom. It felt strange, almost unreal. She drove until her gas tank was almost empty. When she finally stopped, she was miles away, in a small town she didn't recognize. She parked behind an old grocery store and sat there, breathing heavily. Then she began to cry, not because she was weak, but because she was finally free. That night she found a cheap motel and paid for a small room. The place was quiet and smelled of old paint, but to her, it was heaven. She locked the door, closed the curtains, and sat on the bed. For the first time, she slept without fear. The next morning, she borrowed a phone from the motel manager. Her hands trembled as she dialed her mother's number. It rang, once, twice. Then her mother's shaky voice answered, "Hello, Mia, is that you?" Mia burst into tears. "Mom, it's me. I'm safe." Her mother's sobs echoed through the phone. "Where have you been? Everyone thought you disappeared. We tried calling you for weeks. "Mom," she whispered, "something terrible happened. Daniel is gone." Her mother went silent. Then, in a trembling voice, she said, "What do you mean, gone?" Mia told her everything, from the strange wedding to the man's cold eyes, the hidden phone, the messages, the threats. Her mother couldn't believe it. She kept gasping between tears. "Mia, we need to call the police," she said firmly. "You need to tell them everything." And she did. Within hours, detectives arrived at the motel. They took her statement carefully, writing down every word. She showed them the phone she found in the wardrobe. The officers looked at each other with serious faces. "We've been investigating your husband," one of them said quietly. "We suspected him of other crimes too." Mia's heart stopped. "Other crimes?" "Yes," the officer replied. "Several people he knew before the wedding are missing, including the real Daniel Gray." Mia's eyes filled with tears again. "So it's true. He killed him." The officer nodded slowly. "We have reason to believe he did. That night they sent a team to arrest him." Mia waited anxiously at the police station, her hands clasped together. Hours passed before one of the officers returned with a tired smile. "We got him," he said. "He tried to run, but we caught him, and we found something behind the house. We believe it's Daniel." Mia broke down. Her knees gave out. The love of her life, the man she was supposed to marry, was gone, buried by the very monster who stole his face and his name. Days later, the story was all over the news. The Wrong Groom, man arrested for killing his brother and taking his identity. Yes, it turned out that the man she married was Daniel's half-brother, a bitter, jealous man who had always envied Daniel's life. He killed him just days before the wedding and took his place. Mia couldn't stop crying when she heard it. She remembered the way his eyes felt different that day, the way he avoided looking at her. It all made sense now, but even with the truth out, Mia's heart still felt empty. She had lost the person she loved most. She had lived months inside a nightmare she didn't deserve. After the court found him guilty, he was sentenced to life in prison. But even then, Mia didn't celebrate. She just wanted peace. She decided to move to another country, far away, where no one knew her name or her story. She found a small job at a flower shop. Every morning she watered the roses, trimmed the lilies, and watched the sunrise. Slowly, her heart began to heal. One evening, as she locked up the shop, she whispered softly, "Daniel, I hope you're proud of me. I survived." And for the first time in a long time, she felt warmth in her heart again. It was almost like Daniel was smiling down from heaven, whispering, "You did well, my love." From that day on, Mia decided never to let fear silence her again. She began to help other women find their strength, women who were trapped, afraid, and alone, just like she once was. Her story spread quietly at first, but then it inspired others. People called her brave. They said she was living proof that even in the darkest moments, light can still shine through. Because Mia learned something powerful. Love is not just about weddings and promises. Love is about truth, safety, and peace. And when someone tries to take those things away, you must fight to get them back, no matter how hard it seems. Years later, she visited Daniel's grave. She placed a single white rose on it and whispered, "Thank you for loving me, even if our story ended too soon. Because of you, I found the courage to live again." The wind blew gently, brushing her hair against her face, and for a moment, it felt like he was right there with her. She smiled, not the forced smile from her wedding day, but a real one. A smile that said, "I made it. I'm free." And that was the beginning of her new life. Because sometimes you don't get to choose the ending you want, but you can always choose to rise again. Always listen to your instincts. When something feels wrong, don't ignore it. Love should bring peace, not pain. And no matter how broken life seems, there is always a way to start again. Stronger, wiser, and free.